180 years ago today in Hamilton County, a slave named Jacob Cummings set out to free himself and better the lives of those around him. The National Park Service, along with Outdoor Chattanooga, joined together to help tell the story of this remarkable man. In 1819, the Cherokee and the United States agreed to a treaty that ceded the land north of the Tennessee River. As part of this, Hamilton County was established, and white landowners began to acquire property along Moccasin Bend. A number of them were slaveholders, including James Smith, who enslaved about a dozen people on his farm along the northern neck of Moccasin Bend. Now that started right here at the Archaeological District, stretching all the way up to Baylor School. One of the people James Smith enslaved was Jacob Cummings. Cummings primarily worked at Smith's lower farm on Moccasin Bend, and his work occasionally took him into Chattanooga.
In his trips into Chattanooga, running errands for James Smith, he had met a grocery store owner named only as Mr. Leonard. And it's this Mr. Leonard who tells Jacob Cummings, hey, listen, there's this world north of here. Here's a map. Here's how to follow a North Star.
Jacob now had the information he needed to make his escape from slavery. He would soon find the last bit of motivation he needed to put it to use.
Jacob Cummings' mother is beaten by James Smith, 200 lashes for allowing a cat to steal some fish that James Smith had caught. And so that gives us a little bit of a glimpse in just sort of the harsh realities of the institution of slavery. I mean, you've got this a woman who is being whipped 200 times for letting a cat steal a fish. I mean, seems so innocuous, but that's sort of the moment. Once his mother gets beaten, he makes up his mind that he's going to make his escape.
On July 29th, 1839, at the age of 23, Jacob Cummings took an old Indian canoe and pushed it off from the shores of Moccasin Bend near Brown's Ferry and crossed to Williams Island in the Tennessee River. 180 years later, the National Park Service, in conjunction with Outdoor Chattanooga, is taking a group along the same route as Jacob Cummings to learn more about this remarkable man.
After being on the island for a couple of days, he got word from some poor farmers that were living on Williams Island. He got word from them that there was a search party coming out to look for him on the island. He describes taking his pants and his shirt, sort of inflating them like a balloon, and swimming from Williams Island about a half mile to the base of Walden's Ridge.
Cummings spent the next year making his way to the Ohio River.
At numerous points, he actually gets arrested, he gets caught, he gets busted out of jail. He's engaging with this sort of very loose at this point network of people engaging with what they're going to later kind of famously call the Underground Railroad.
He eventually made it to Canada, where he became an active agent on the Underground Railroad, the same network that he had navigated out of slavery on Moccasin Bend. The journey that Jacob Cummings took here in Chattanooga is just one small part of his experience. While it only lasted a couple of days here, his determination, his legacy should be remembered forever.
Under the laws of the United States of America prior to the passage of the 13th Amendment, he was not a person. He was property. And he took action into his own hands and said, I'm going to go somewhere else and I'm going to be a person. And he turned around then and helped others make that same choice. And so, at risk of sounding kind of cheesy, if I could one day be half the person that Jacob Cummings was, I'll consider it a life well lived.
What an act of courage and determination.
You know, absolutely. And again, a big thanks to the National Park Service and Outdoor Chattanooga for helping tell that story. A story that up until a year ago was almost lost. It was a random Google search through the Ohio State University's library that we were able to, or they were able rather, to get more information. And I'll have that posted on our website in a little bit because too much for television, but it is a remarkable story. So.